Hi people, welcome back to Activism Uncensored. We did say that we would keep you up to date with the situation with our friends Morgan and Marcus, who you'll recall were sentenced to 2 years, 7 months and 3 years respectively for scaling the Dartford Bridge, also known as the QE2 Bridge, in August of last year. We've had the pleasure of interviewing both Morgan and Marcus in previous episodes live from prison. We're also going to hear from Chloe Naldrett, the JSO spokes, who appeared on one of our podcast episodes recently as well. So the latest situation in the case is the United Nations have condemned the severity of these sentences, but Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has hit back and tried to justify them. Let's have a quick look through this article before we hear from Chloe. So it says Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has defended sentences handed to two Just Stop Oil climate campaigners following criticism from the United Nations. Morgan Trowland, 40, was jailed for 3 years and Marcus Decker, 34, for 2 years. That's 2 years, 7 months, so almost 3 years, for causing a public nuisance after scaling the Dartford Crossing Bridge. The United Nations had warned the government in a letter that severe sentences could stifle protest. Mr Sunak said in response in a post on Twitter that those who break the law should feel the full force of it. No doubt Rishi Sunak is in favour of the sentences, given that his wife's business is set to make £1.5 billion from the new fossil fuel licences which he's issuing. That's a statistic which is absent from this article. Obviously, something people should consider. It says the warning came in a letter shown to BBC News sent to the government by the UN Special Rapporteur on the promotion and protection of human rights in the context of climate change, Ian Fry, on the 15th of August this year. He says the sentences are significantly more severe than previous sentences imposed for this type of offending in the past. Obviously on the channel we've been very outspoken about the severity of these sentences. If you'd also like to check out our Don't Deport Marcus episode as well, that concerns Marcus specifically, is faced with being deported back to Germany as soon as his sentence is complete, but he has a life here in this country, he has a partner, he has stepchildren, and that's just an absolute affront to justice, as well as the sentences which they both face. So it says here, the letter goes on to say that the new Public Order Act, which came into force in July, appears to be a direct attack on the right to the freedom of peaceful assembly. Absolutely. And again, we have done a specific episode about the Public Order Act called the Not My Bill demo, which happened earlier this year in London. Do check that out as well. He says most countries take these letters seriously and respond, Mr Fry told BBC News. He suggested that the lack of formal reply reflected, quote, a general disregard for human rights concerns by the current government, end quote. But the Home Office says it has responded to the Special Rapporteur's letter. Let's just listen to what Chloe Naldrett had to say in an appearance on BBC News earlier today.
People think, listening to this, really think it's reasonable for people to be in prison for 3 years for causing some disruption in the face of the crisis that we're facing and the magnitude of that crisis. I think we all need to note that the UN is watching this country very, very closely.
The debate will continue as to whether tough sentences on activists are a deterrent or an impingement on our civil liberties.
So yeah, of course, completely agree with those sentiments from Chloe Naldrett, of course. And just to remind you, you can see our extended interview with Chloe from earlier on in the year. Just type in the name into the YouTube channel, that should come up. It just says here as well, the new legislation is designed to, quote, clarify the definition of serious disruption and allow police to clear roads quickly, end quote, it told the BBC, and said the new legislation on protests was put in place following proper parliamentary procedure and is compatible with the European Convention on Human Rights, which seems a very strange thing to say, seeing as the Conservative government is so adamant on the UK coming out of the European Convention on Human Rights. They don't seem to be able to make their minds up as to whether that's a good thing or not at the moment. But if you want to read through that article in full, you can find it on the BBC's website, and the video I showed you there is on Just Stop All's YouTube page as well. That was from BBC Southeast specifically, so do check that out as well. Do everything that you can to support Morgan and Marcus, of course. Please do let your MPs know about the situation, try and persuade them to speak out about these unfair, unjustified sentences. Of course, there was a lot of accusation of ambulances being blocked at the time Morgan and Marcus made the protest through a Freedom of Information Act. That's turned out not to be the case. So their actions didn't cause harm to anyone in an ambulance or waiting for an ambulance, just to clear that up. So that's the latest on Morgan and Marcus's case, and like I said, please do all that you can to speak up for them, however you choose to act. So thanks a lot for listening. If you've not done so already, please do subscribe to the channel, hit the like and notification buttons so then you can keep up to date with the latest content on our channel. Until next time, take care, people.